for tonight's main event here on Friday Night Fights. The 12-round light heavyweight showdown between Julian Letterlough and Julio González. Mr. KO, Julian Letterlough, is 31 years of age, 15-0-1 with 15 knockouts. This guy is from the School of Hard Knocks, and he brings it into the ring every fight. On Friday Night Fights last summer against Demetrius Jenkins, in the second round, Jenkins was able to land a right hand and down went Letterlough. In the third round, same thing. Jenkins controlling this bout, and Letterlough went down again. But Julian is never fazed by knockdowns because he knows he has power. And in the seventh round, that power reared its ugly head. A big left hook would send Jenkins down and out as Letterlough picked up his 14th knockout victory. On Friday Night Fights in September of last year, in a fight fitting for the Blue Horizon, Letterlough squared off against Sam Ahmad. This was a tough, hard-fought contest that ended in a 10-round draw. Letterlough would get dropped in his next fight against Max Heyman, but he always gets up. He explains why.
Well, you got to just keep on getting up. I mean, those are hazards that you have to deal with in your job. That's what's going to let you know if you truly belong in the sport of boxing. I mean, it's not a soft sport. It's a hard thing. You get knocked down, you either want to say, hey, I'm not getting knocked down no more, or look, that's the best you got. Let me give you a little bit of what I got. You know, let me get to you. Let's keep on working at this thing. See if you can do that again.
Letterlough gets a tough guy tonight in Julio González, 25-0, 16 knockouts. He represented Mexico in the 1996 Olympic Games. He's ranked number 9 by the WBA, and González is a guy that really knows how to fight. Brings a wide array of action into the ring. He's long, he's lean, and he's got a lot of heart. So this proves to be a very interesting test for both men tonight in Columbus, Ohio. Julio González realizes it will not be easy against Letterlough as he sizes up tonight's main event.
Oh, it's going to be a tough fight. He's going to try to knock me out in the first rounds, but I got to survive. I'm pretty sure I see it that he's not going to knock me out. I see it going 12 rounds, so he better get ready.
I don't know. I'm just going to go in there, tough in your chest, fighting, boxing. I don't know. It's pressure. Pressure busts pipes. So, I mean, if he can't stand up to the pressure, of course, you know, it'll be Letterlough's victory. But I mean, just constant hard work, you know, round after round. He's an undefeated fighter. I'm an undefeated fighter. You know, somebody's old must go.
Both guys are ready. Julio González was married on October the 27th to his wife Christine. Took some time off. This is the longest layoff of his career. Hasn't fought in 4 months and 10 days. Julian Letterlough coming off a November 17th knockout win against Max Heyman. Letterlough, 31 years of age, spent 7 years in prison from the School of Hard Knocks. Let's take a look at both men fighting in tonight's main event. Julio González was born in Mexico, now fighting out of California, weighed in at 175 pounds, a professional record of 25-0 with 16 knockouts, ranked number 9 by the WBA, represented Mexico in the 1996 Olympic Games, lost to Vasily Yurov in his first bout. 8 straight knockout wins for González. Julian Letterlough is known as Mr. KO. He is 31 years of age, 174 pounds, from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, ranked number 13 by the IBF in the light heavyweight division. 15-0-1 with 15 knockouts. He's never been past 8 rounds in his career. Well, actually, one time he has, when he went the 10-round draw with Sami Ahmad here on Friday Night Fights. And he goes down a lot. He was dropped by Max Heyman, then finished that fight off with a win. In his last fight was dropped by Demetrius Jenkins in the second and third rounds, but came back to win. He's got a devastating left hook. Unified rules will be used. Bernie Profato, the referee for tonight's 12-round main event. They are as follows. No 3 knockdown rule, no standing 8 count. Only the referee can stop it. Accidental fouls, they'll go to the scorecards after 4 rounds are complete.
Ready to clock.
Julian Letterlough, no amateur experience, a lot of street fights, was nicknamed Tyson for his style. Spent 7 years in a Pittsburgh state prison. Learned how to box and has really been an entertaining guy. González has been down once, Teddy, in his professional career. And that came in his 8th pro bout against Nathaniel Miles. He was knocked down in the 4th round of that bout. He won a 6-round decision. He even won that round. And a right hand by González knocks down Letterlough.
Well, González got good extension on that right hand. And this distance, González is going to be doing good. If it's in close, then Letterlough will do better.
Well, you heard Letterlough when we talked to him about getting knocked down and getting back up. He says that in the Jenkins fight, when he was dropped into the 2nd and 3rd rounds, when he kept getting back up, that broke the spirit of Jenkins. He said the same thing happened in his fight against Max Heyman. He was being shut out in that fight.
Watch your heads in there.
And normally when a guy goes down and, ooh, he got wobbled again from a left hand, you say to yourself, oh boy, he's in a lot of trouble. With Letterlough, you just never know.
González still better pay attention to his P's and Q's. Because when you drop a guy, and you know you're the taller guy, you were supposed to fight on the outside, you drop him and say, I don't have to fight on the outside. Let me just go after him. Funny things can happen all of a sudden. When you start fighting the other guy's fight, getting in too close. And as you said, Letterlough's used to coming off the floor.
González said he'd feel out Letterlough in the 1st round. He knows about Letterlough's power. In fact, González thought this fight would go 12 rounds.
Sometimes the worst thing that can happen, I'm not saying it's bad when you score a knockdown, but sometimes the worst thing that can happen is you score a knockdown early in a fight that you thought was going to be real tough. And all of a sudden, even without realizing it, mentally you let up a little bit, you let your strategy go a little bit, you say, hey, you know, my trainer said I have to stay outside. I just dropped this guy 20 seconds into the fight. I can go inside and you can make mistakes.
Letterlough letting that right hand go. Letterlough dropped early in this 1st round, got wobbled from a left hand a few moments earlier.
There's no doubt who's the cruder guy, who's more raw. Letterlough is much more raw. Talent-wise, technique-wise, did not have an amateur background. Started very late. He's 31 years old now.
You know, I asked Letterlough about, is he worried about referees? Some guys are very quick to stop fights. He says he doesn't really worry about it. It's almost like part of his game. He's got to go down a couple times.
González is the much more polished man, no doubt about it. And even though he's the taller man, he can fight inside too. He's good at that. I think he should stay on the outside. He's fighting inside, even if he can win that way. It gives Letterlough the only chance he has.
10.
Well, a dominant 1st round for Julio González, dropping Letterlough early in the round and hurting him on another occasion.
You just keep moving that hand, Jay. Make the quick move, go on in and get your shots off. Step around real easy.
Letterlough trying to regroup after getting dropped in round number 1. Teddy, it came early.
Oh yeah, it's always about fundamentals, and as we said, fundamentally, González is a little bit better. You don't want to step back with your left hand down in front of your man, and that's exactly what Letterlough did, and he got caught a right hand.
Corners!
And then he got hurt with a left hook to the head about 30 seconds later, but if there is anybody that can regroup, it's Julian Letterlough.
He's gonna come.
4 sons, Ronaldo, Julian, D'Angelo, and Jason, watching Dad perform tonight. Take a look at the numbers in round 1. Obviously dominant. 28 power shots landed by González. Of course, he scored the knockdown and hurt Letterlough again.
Again, González will have to fight the temptation after that early knockdown to go inside. He still should be on the outside. I don't care how well he does on the inside. He's better off on the outside. He's going to give Letterlough a chance to land something, the shorter man. And the puncher, Letterlough does have that eraser in his gloves that can pull him from behind with that power.
Always come back with another one.
Right now, González not using his height. Even though he's getting the better of it, I said it early, he can fight inside outside. But why fight inside if that's the only thing your opponent can do? Letterlough's happy. Right now that González is close to him.
Both guys say they go into each fight expecting a war. And round number 2, starting out just that way. Tell you what, González is landing some pretty good body shots there.
Yeah, he's got a less experienced guy in front of him. He's trying to take some of the desire. trying to mentally break down, not just physically, but also mentally break down Letterlough. Take away some of that power of Letterlough. So Letterlough later in the fight won't be so dangerous, Bob. He knows Letterlough's track record, and he can pull fights out of the fire.
In that fight against Jenkins here on Friday Night Fights back in July in New Hampshire, he was down in all 3 judges' scorecards through 6.5 rounds, and he scored the knockout win.
As we said, technically the more polished guy, no doubt about it, González. But when he gets in close, he evens things up a little bit. Because Letterlough, with the less experience now, when he's in close,
good right hand by González.
Can land.
You saw the numbers here in the round. Big numbers for González. He might be playing right into Letterlough's hands. Letterlough can land that clean shot.
Look, González is winning this fight, no doubt about it. But I'm going to tell you again, he's fighting the wrong fight. He shouldn't be in close. And I'm sure the corner can't be happy. They're happy that he's ahead, but he's too close to Letterlough, the shorter man.
Letterlough did erase Jenkins and Heyman with that left hook. Right now, González is dominating this fight with Julian Letterlough through 2 rounds. According to CompuBox, Julio González through the first 2 rounds has landed 80 power shots in this fight. He dropped Julian Letterlough in the first round, hurt him in the first round, and pounded him in the second round. Round 3 underway. This is a 12-rounder. Take a look at the numbers in round 2. 52 of the 58 landed by González were power shots. But Teddy, as you said, González fighting inside, and although he's had the better of it through 2 rounds, it's still a bad place for him to be.
He should be on the outside using that jab, making Letterlough take the chances, as we say all the time. Pay for real estate, pay for every inch to get closer.
There he goes! Counter punch!
Exactly what we're talking about. Fight the wrong fight.
5, 6.
So each guy has gone down once. Second time in González's career he's been down. Right hand by Letterlough.
Look how Letterlough's instinctually is pretty good. He got caught there a little bit too. That might have been a knockdown. The referee wasn't sure whether or not to step in, because Letterlough got up so quick. And watch the instincts of Letterlough. Again, González is still too close. That's why he was on the floor to begin with. He allowed the shorter Letterlough, probably the harder punching Letterlough, to get where he needed to be.
And González walks into a shot there as he tries to fire back. All about distance, right, Teddy?
Yes, it is. And it's about controlling yourself, fighting the right fight, controlling your emotions. As I said earlier, González scored the knockdown. He might have thought, hey, I don't have to listen. I don't have to be on the outside. I can win this fight on the inside. You're wrong. You might win it, but you're taking a lot more chances. You're giving your opponent a chance to win the fight. You're not supposed to do that if you don't have to do that.
But Teddy,
González don't have to do that.
Isn't it just his instinct, though? I mean, this is the way he fights. Even though he's taller, he fights like this.
That instinct has to be controlled. That pride has to be controlled. The emotions must be controlled. That Mexican pride of González, which is so great. And we've seen so many great Mexican fighters. But you have to control that. And you have to fight a smart fight. It's called the sweet science. Being tough is only part of it. We've seen many great Mexican fighters, many great ones, that also box on the outside when they're supposed to do it.
In round 1, Letterlough went down. Here in round 3, it's González who hit the canvas. Good shot to the body by González.
This is going to be a good one. Bottom right-hand corner, where earlier González put Letterlough on the floor with a right hand. Well, Letterlough returns some favor. Left hand down of González, it always comes down to fundamentals. Right hand was able to crash home for Letterlough. González was too close, Bob.
Fourth round underway. Take a look at the punch numbers through 3 rounds, and decidedly in favor of González, although Letterlough had a very good round number 3.
He said earlier, Letterlough's a little less polished, didn't have the amateur background, started late in boxing, but he makes up for that lack of technique, lack of polish with plenty of heart and power in both gloves. But he needs help. He needs his opponent to fight an inside fight. Allow him to be in position for those talents. González is helping him a little bit right now.
Stop, stop, stop! Step back, step back. Wait and listen, gentlemen. Wait and listen.
You can take away technique. You can even the playing field of experience a little bit by pressure and by being close to your man.
Your hands are free, box in there.
When Letterlough, the less experienced guy, is close to González, he doesn't allow González to use his experience so much. It becomes a fight of power, a fight of will. Letterlough can do pretty good in that kind of fight.
Letterlough landed a nice combination inside. Right hand over the top. González to the right of his own.
Letterlough is hurting González. Plenty of heart, both of these guys. That's why we knew this fight would be a great fight. There's a lot of cheering going on. If everybody's going crazy and happy, then you know Letterlough's getting the kind of fight you want. Don't get me wrong, we love it. But if it's a little quieter in here, then González is doing what he should do, Bob. Being on the outside.
Can they keep this up for 12 rounds?
Watch your heads.
Neither one grab a lot inside.
Watch your heads.
And as I say that, González looked to grab.
Free, use them, they're free.
But then they let go because this is where they both do effective work. Although Letterlough probably is the better man on the inside.
Even though Letterlough is much more, much greener when it comes to the experience and technique, he has, I was starting to mention it the last time, he has good instincts. Watch how he'll punch at the right time. He's looking for the right moment to throw something to catch González. Looking for González to leave himself open.
Work him in a row. All right, stop for me, step back. Head, we got head.
You don't need to say a lot about this. These two guys are just getting it done.
Plenty of inside fighting. Right now, González is letting his hands go. They're taking turns, the two of these guys. But one thing to keep in mind, the taller González is inside working. That always gives Letterlough a chance. We saw that already, Bob.
Each guy's been down once. Letterlough, the first minute of the fight. González goes down from a left hook. That's the bread and butter punch for Letterlough. Second time in the fight he's been down. Third time in his career.
7, 8.
And a lot of time left here. And Letterlough has good instincts. We'll find out how good right now.
And again, González not using his height to stay away and use the jab and at least buy some time to recover.
And watch as González, as you said, the taller man just coming forward. Watch how Letterlough, the smaller man, will step back and try to create a little room for González to walk into something. Let González fall into something.
I'll tell you, the thing too is with Letterlough, he doesn't really have a lot. You mentioned raw. He doesn't have a lot of the skills. If González kept the fight on the outside, Letterlough doesn't have tremendous technique to work his way in. It's González that's enabling Letterlough to get inside.
Yes, it is. We said that right at the beginning. And his corner should have been all over that. The good news for González is Letterlough throws wide, so there's room for González, who throws the crisper punches, the snappier punches, to still catch, even at this fight, the wrong fight, he can still catch Letterlough inside.
Heads inside, watch those heads!
Letterlough would be well served to start going to the body. He's missing a lot to the head. Goes to the body, he'll slow that head movement down of González. Also take something out of the tank, González, because this fight might the way it's going, if both guys are still standing, come down to who's got the most left at the end. And whoever goes to the body will be able to dictate that a little bit.
Blood from the mouth of Letterlough. One thing Letterlough is very good at, once the fight gets to the inside, he's pretty good at placing punches.
He has good instincts. He'll take little steps back and try to create room for punches. Does it in a raw sort of way, a little bit crude, but instinctually he knows what to do. There's something to work with Letterlough. There's a lot of pure ability there. He just needs experience and polish. He doesn't have a lot of time to get it. He's 31 years old. That's why he's fighting so many tough fights so quick.
González was dropped for the second time in this fight. Tasting the power of Letterlough.
Two more rounds with this guy. All right? Yeah.
Matt Kurihara, the trainer of Julio González, in between rounds 5 and 6. González dropped for a second time in this fight.
Yes, he was dropped again on the inside, cooperating with Letterlough. And this time, Letterlough shows he can punch with either hand. It's the left hook this time, and it was the right hand the first time. But González, plenty of heart, plenty of durability. He's been in this position before. He's been on the floor before and come back and win. And he's trying to do that again.
Neither man has ever lost a fight as a pro. Letterlough has a draw. González 25-0.
Oh, everybody will say, hey, Letterlough should use that jab. He's a shorter man. Use that jab to get inside. Well, he doesn't have to, because González does it for him by just coming inside. One thing about Letterlough, Bob, with that jab sometimes works against Letterlough. Sometimes he throws it from too close, and he gets countered with right hand.
Well, even though those numbers favored González in that last round, remember, González went down, as we showed you, the second time in the fight.
And this is professional boxing, and it's the hard, effective, talent punches that count the most.
Well, if you just looked at the punches landed, you'd say González is probably pitching a shutout, but no. He dropped twice in this fight.
González where he should not be, in close, taking his hideaway.
Did you make that last round 10-8 or 10-9, even though Letterlough scored the knockdown?
I knew you were going to ask that, partner. I'm glad you're back. Being with the New York Giants, I didn't get to say welcome back.
That was a first-round KO.
You did a great job. I heard you on the radio. With all this action, I never got to say welcome back, but welcome back. But I made it a 10-8 round, but I could see you could argue for a 10-9 because González came back.
Yeah, I made a 10-9 for Letterlough because I thought González did plenty in the rest of the fight, in the rest of that round, to at least sort of even things up.
González needs to take advantage of what Letterlough gives him. Letterlough will leave himself open with wide punches. He will put himself in position to get hit. González needs to have distance to take advantage of those holes, like that. But then he stood up and he got caught with a left hook. Boy, this Letterlough lets leather go, doesn't he?
Mr. KO Letterlough lets leather go.
As he got caught, he came right back with the left hook and caught González admiring his work. Young fighters at home, don't admire your work. After you throw something, move after you punch. Don't take a picture. Because sometimes you're going to be hitting a real tough son of a gun like Letterlough.
Eddie, González's balance seems to be a little bit off too.
That all starts with legs, just like a house. You want the upstairs to be good, the basement, the foundation has to be good. Sometimes if you look at the feet of González, they get too close, they get too parallel.
It is bombs away and we're only halfway through.
Well, in the intangibles before the fight, we talked about chin. If the fight comes to a shootout, and it's starting to look like a shootout, Bob, who has the better set of whiskers?
I think it is a shootout. I think it's safe to say. We've had 3 knockdowns so far in the first half of the fight. Letterlough down early in the first round. And González down in the 3rd round and down in the 5th round.
Push up in here.
Not like the Super Bowl that you just came back from that you called. Not a lot of defense.
Watch your heads.
Plenty of offense.
Head still in there.
Did you stop talking about that?
Head still. Watch those heads.
I'm sorry. Okay. All right.
I'll tell you what.
Hey, it's still great to call one, though, isn't it?
Watch your heads, man.
Sure was.
How many people get a chance to call one? Not too many.
And my man Ron Jaworski of ESPN and Merrill Hodge had it broken down perfectly.
Head still in there. Head still. Come on, box side of it. You're free box.
Merrill picked the right side. But I'll tell you what, Teddy, I guess they just can't get González to stay outside.
Head still. Watch his heads.
I guess it's just the instincts of a guy.
Good job. Keep the head
He's a
still.
fighter. He's got plenty of pride. But, again, being a top fighter, separating yourself from the other tough guys is more than just being tough. It's about being smart, using technique, using your God-given abilities, like being tall. Remembering that it is the sweet science. Customato, my mentor, used to say all the time, Teddy, you have 2 tough guys in a fight, and one guy's a little smarter. Well, automatically, he becomes tougher. You're smart and tough, you're twice as tough. And you have a longer career. Because you can't have too long a career, Bob, taking punches like this on a consistent level. And if they take them in the ring, they take them in the gym.
Come on, they're free box. Watch your heads. Head still in there. Come on.
Letterlough's like a light heavyweight version of Arturo Gatti. Not unbelievable boxing skills, but just a slugger.
Stop.
And he has an excuse to be a slugger. He did not have a big amateur background. Started late. González has less of an excuse, has better skills, knows more defensive technique. When you have less experience, that's what suffers the most when you're real raw. Your defense, and that's apparent with Letterlough. Oh, good body shot there, right to the solar plexus. That was a real good body shot by González to Letterlough. And he takes the headshots, but those body shots, they're harder to take.
Come around.
Bottom right-hand corner, you hear boxing people say, hey, he takes it to the head. Let's see how he takes it to the body. Look at that left hook under the elbow. That really hurt Letterlough. And it's a good thing there wasn't more time left in the round for González, because that body shot took a lot out of Letterlough there, Bob.
As you mentioned, it did come at the end of round 7, so he had the 1 minute to sort of regroup.
And sometimes the guy who delivers it doesn't realize in the heat of battle, in that kind of fight, doesn't realize that he delivered it. I'm not so sure González realized how hurt Letterlough was.
Take a look at the numbers in round 7. 35-7 in favor of González power shots. Right hand over the top from González.
Now to catch 22 here, Bob, because it'd be easy to say, hey, go to the body, Mr. González, get to the body of Letterlough. But one thing, he has to be in close to go to the body. And that is the turf that Letterlough wants.
Well, the first 40 seconds of this round, González did the smart thing. He stayed outside with his jab, but now he's back inside in Letterlough range. We started this night off with a couple of outstanding prospects. Anthony Hanshaw, Olympic alternate, stopping Jose Spearman. Jeff Lacey, 2000 Olympian, first round stoppage of Gerald Lowe. Excellent left hook to the body. And now we are seeing 2 guys on the other end of the spectrum as far as just true, pure warriors.
Oh, yes, they are. One of them, you can understand it a little bit more. Letterlough starting late, no amateur background. González should be able to keep it outside and make it a little bit more of a strategic fight like he just did there.
And you saw how much problems Letterlough had even getting near the range he needed to be at.
González separates himself when he's on the outside. Talk about green fighters, raw fighters, their defense not being as good. Well, that's the case with Letterlough. We talked about that already.
Come on, boxing
But one of the ways that Letterlough makes up for his lack of defense is being in close. And when he's allowed to be in close, his lack of defense doesn't show so much. He can smother punches, Bob. He can put something on the other guy. But when there's distance, which González should be keeping, then the lack of defense ability will really show.
Stop, you're holding.
But it won't show if González doesn't keep it outside.
Stop.
Both guys getting a little tired, sloppy in spots, but you know what? They have a right to.
10, we got 10.
Well, González has kept most of this round near the outside, at least. Letterlough hasn't been able to get a lot done, but he landed a right hand right at the bell. To the corner of Julian Letterlough, Mr. KO. His trainer is Gary Nicholson. Now, Letterlough is a guy that has been down, as we've chronicled time and time again, but he feels that when he keeps getting back up, it plays right into his hands.
I'm sure it has. I mean, you hit a guy with your best shot, you knock him down, and he gets right back up, and he's right back in your face. He's not running. He's not looking for an easy out, and he's just constantly in your face, you know, just throwing things back at you, you know, and you know, I've hit this man with my best shot. What's next? Well, what can I? And it's pressure. It's just that constant pressure that just breaks a guy down, just breaks your opponent down. He's like, man. And he gets careless. He drops his hands. You hit him with a good shot, and it's like he's down. Even if he can get back up, sometimes he's like, hey, I don't even want to get back up.
Well, unlike some of his other opponents, Julio González has gotten up twice. Got up in the 3rd round and also got up in the 5th round. So that is something that normally Letterlough's opponents do not do. Once he lands those clean shots, is get back up. But González has shown an ability, like Letterlough, to get up off the deck.
Stop.
You heard it from the mouth of Letterlough. Part of his fight, with his lack of experience, lack of developed skills, part of his fight, he depends on breaking a guy down, Bob. He depends on discouraging a guy. But this might be the first time, or it is the first time, he has a guy in front of him who might not be discouraged. Doesn't mean he can't knock him out, but might not be discouraged. Is acting like a pro, is not falling apart. So Letterlough looking for that little extra help. Might not find it.
So you wonder if Letterlough, with the shoe on the other foot,
that's what I'm talking about. Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. Maybe, just maybe, he slows down just a little bit, just a little tiny bit, because his guy is not doing what the other guys did when they've been on the floor.
Teddy has it 76-74 in favor of González. I have the same score, but I got there a different way.
See, one of the things, one of the elements, not your jab, not your switching ability, not your footwork, but one of the elements is to depend on breaking the other guy down. And he doesn't break down. Well, I'm not saying Letterlough's going to break down, but that's one less bullet in the chamber.
Teddy, though, González is here on the inside, and Letterlough is not doing as much as he's done in the earlier rounds.
And it could be what we're talking about, not being in a situation before when he landed his power and the guy came back at him, being just a little bit confused about that, a little bit discouraged about that, and that could slow you down a little bit.
Both of these guys have, as you see, been past 8 rounds only once. Letterlough had that 10-round draw with Sammy Amar.
Break!
González had a 9th-round stoppage of Jesus Ruiz last year.
Even though I don't like González inside, when he is inside, it's not a bad idea as long as you're there to go to the body, because we talked about it earlier. Even though earlier it didn't look like it was going to go all the way, but as the rounds go on, whoever goes to the body more is going to take a little extra out of the opponent. And this is the kind of fight that could come right down to the stretch. And those body punches could be important.
Letterlough lost the mouthpiece as he ate a right hand. We've had 3 knockdowns in this fight. Early in the first round, Julio González tags Julian Letterlough with a right hand. He went down. He got hurt later in that round. Round number 3, Letterlough returns the favor as he nails González with a right hand. Good round for Letterlough. Then in round number 5, it's the left hand of Letterlough that scores a knockdown. But González would get back up and actually do a lot of good work in that round, where you can make the case that that round was not 10-8 for Letterlough, but 10-9. And that's how we've arrived to round number 10. Although, Teddy, in the last 4 rounds, González has had control of this fight.
Not necessarily because he's fighting completely the right fight. A little bit.
It's getting better.
A little bit better, exactly. He's not taking it all the way outside, but just a little bit. And that's enough to give him an advantage. With the less experienced, less polished Letterlough. Also, even if he fights inside, González has the advantage because he's a little more polished. But I still think it's the wrong place, because it gives, especially in this late part of the fight, with Letterlough crawling behind, it gives Letterlough the one chance he needs to land something on the potato.
Teddy, you wonder if Letterlough has gotten a bit tentative on the inside. If you remember, right near the end of, I think, round 6, González landed a perfect left hand to the body that took some steam out of Letterlough.
It sure did. Took some wind right out of those sails. Might have made him not so anxious to be moving his hands on the inside. Because sometimes you can leave that elbow up a little bit and leave an opening.
Wait, listen.
People think about the hands only being important to cover to the head. You got to keep those elbows in to the body to protect those shots. Fighters are very wary of that.
Huge edge for González according to CompuBox, and the punches landed more than 2-1.
And in fact, once in a while you'll see a fighter who's taking body shots start to drop his hands to protect the body.
Well, subtle change by González in the last 3 or 4 rounds. He's kept the fight to the outside a bit more. And Letterlough not throwing as much inside when they do get close. Down goes González from a counter shot.
Fighting the wrong fight.
He didn't stay outside long enough.
Fighting the wrong fight. I don't care if you're winning.
He says he's okay. 3rd time González has been down to the right hand by Letterlough.
Mr. KO's gonna get a KO. He's stepping back, giving himself room to punch.
González can't tie him up. Now he does.
Break.
3rd time in the fight that González has been down.
When you're a warrior like González, one of the problems in this situation, you just alluded to it, you haven't learned how to tie a man up.
Cannot be saved by the bell in any round. Can he make the last 13 seconds of this 10th round? González doing it on sheer will right now. That's not a knockdown, that's a trip.
No, but it serves its purpose. It kills sometimes.
And there's the bell to end the round.
No, slip.
González dropped again.
That was a slip.
Hey. Come on, Julio, wake up. You all right?
Julio González has been dropped again in round number 10. Teddy, we said he was doing a good job staying outside, but he got careless.
Hey, he got inside. He's not using his height. You're going to pay for it. And he pays with the right hand. The 2nd time in this fight he's been dropped with a right hand. And his left hand's down, but more importantly, he's in close to the shorter, more powerful Letterlough. And he leaves an opening for that. Allows Letterlough get back into the fight. What a fight, Bob.
Yeah, well, that tightened up my scorecard. González's lead down to a point. I have it 94-93 for González. He's been down 3 times, and a key on the judges' cards could be that 5th round, Teddy. Did they give Letterlough 10-8 when he dropped González, or did they make it 10-9 because González fought well for the entire round?
It could be a big part of this fight. Little loose tape there.
Bernie Profado.
Taking care of it.
I like that. He's got scissors.
It's supposed to have them. It's supposed to have your tools. If you were a carpenter, you'd have a hammer. You'd have nails. You're a referee. You have to have a scissor just in case tape gets loose. You know, talking about that round, whether it was a 10-8 or a 10-9, that could tell this whole fight. That happened when I had years ago. There's a scorecard.
Stop!
You know, you gave Letterlough the rounds where he scored a knockdown. The 3rd, the 5th, and the 10th. I gave him the 4th round, too. That was a close round. So it'll be interesting to see how the judges' cards are going to be.
Well, where a situation like that did turn a fight, and a world title fight for that was when I had Michael Moore back in '94 fighting Holyfield for the title. Moore got dropped in the 2nd round. He got up, and I thought he won the rest of the round. And some judges did too. And the judges made it a 10-9 round instead of 10-8. And we won by that 1 point. I thought they did a good job, by the way, I must say, because in all honesty, Moore came back and dominated the round except for the knockdown.
We're interested to see how the judges scored that 5th round for Letterlough. And Letterlough goes down from a combination. He's saying it was a slip, that their feet got tied up. He says, he stepped on my foot. But a punch was thrown.
The left hook landed. He's right, he was off balance, his feet were stuck together, but the rules were administered properly by the referee. A punch landed as he went down, off balance or not.
Come on, box there, you're free, box.
Wow, what a fight.
But it's not the kind of knockdown that if this round stays close, that would motivate you necessarily to make it a 10-8 round. That's the key.
Well, González is back up on his toes. He's recovered from that knockdown in the 10th.
Stop!
The control of this fight, again, I said it from the beginning, is in González's hands, Bob. When he fights on the outside, uses his superior height and his technique, he's the better guy.
Break!
When he doesn't, Letterlough gets right back into the fight in any second. See the problems Letterlough has. I know it's late in the fight, he's tired, but he has problems with movement, problems with distance.
González down 3 times in the fight, Letterlough twice.
Well, here comes another knockdown. Now this one was a little controversial, but you see a left hand land there, a little delay. Feet were together, no doubt Letterlough was off balance, but no doubt that a left hand landed.
Letterlough argued vehemently with referee Bernie Profado that they had their feet tied up, but there was a punch thrown and landed in that sequence. So you really cannot fault the referee, who's done a very good job in this fight. But you made it a 10-9 round, right?
Yes, I did.
Step back, watch your head.
I made it just the right man, where a knockdown by Letterlough in this round, which is always possible, will make a draw.
I have it the same way.
Step back.
We got a little information sent to us that Letterlough, after the 7th round, hurt his right hand.
Free box in there. Come on, you're free box.
Didn't bother him in the 10th, though, when he dropped González.
I'm so glad you said that. These guys, a lot of times, will pull out of fights and sort of find a way out with a bad hand. I'm not saying it's not bad, but then you, on the other side of the spectrum, you see so many fighters that get through it. And when they hurt a guy and they have to throw it, they throw it. They find a way to forget about the pain.
And neither of these guys has ever suffered a loss as a professional boxer, and they don't want one now. And you know Letterlough doesn't care about his right hand.
No, he doesn't. He cares about landing with either hand to try to pull this fight out of the fire and keep that 0 intact in his record.
Letterlough has scored 2 knockdowns with his right hand in this fight and 1 with his left.
You talk about the will of 2 men here. What tremendous will of these 2 men. And what adds to that is neither one have felt defeat yet. Neither one have learned how to lose. And they're giving it up very, very begrudgingly. They don't want to give up that 0.
Letterlough, though, not able to get his punches going. González, enough of a jab. Keep Letterlough at bay. Here's where Letterlough's got to do his damage.
Stop for me.
This is where the body shot by González earlier could have helped him a little bit in this point of the fight. Take a little bit away from Letterlough.
Letterlough loses his mouthpiece as he got tagged.
He's lost it once before in this fight. Keeps his mouth open. Part of that is he's a little tired. What a fight, Bob. What a fight.
It's early, but it's the fight of the year. What a performance by Julian Letterlough and Julio González. 5 knockdowns in the fight. González down 3 times. Letterlough down twice. How the judges have it scored, we'll tally them up after this timeout. What a fight. Julian Letterlough, Julio González. Over 1,900 punches were thrown in the fight. 330 power shots landed by González, but he was dropped 3 times. Letterlough went down twice. Teddy Atlas's scorecard, the same as mine, 114-111 for González, as we await the official cards from the judges. And now we send it up to our ring announcer for the official judges' scorecards as Bernie Profato gets the fighters to the middle of the ring. Here is Amy Hayes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision. Judge Frank Garza scores the bout 113-110 González. Judge Woody Kelker scores the bout 114-109, and Gary Merritt scores the bout 114-109, all for your winner of the unified title and new IBA Continental Champion, Julio González.
Teddy, Julio González got the unanimous decision win. Hard-fought effort against Julian Letterlough. What a fight. Well, we are getting set for another bout for you, a super middleweight bout. You get a look at